let's go to pickleball. So it's really interesting. You know what, when three guys get together that are bored and they got a few beers, and I'm not talking about going on a binge or anything, but when you get three dads that are kind of bored, getting together, looking for something to do, and you accidentally, in 1965, invent a new sport. So these guys are going to play badminton, but they couldn't find this thing called the shuttlecock. And the shuttlecock has nothing to do with a horny astronaut. It is a little white thing. It's a little triangle that when people playing badminton, it's a little thing that they're hitting back and forth over the net. Well, apparently these dads couldn't find one of those, but they had the net and they had the badminton rackets, which look like tennis rackets, but they're not as big and as heavy, and they're only designed to hit that little piece that goes back and forth called the shuttlecock. A little triangle, a little heavy weight on the end of it, bing, 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 back and forth. So they couldn't find that, and so they said, well, let's just they found a plastic ball, and that was light, and then they lowered the net, and they made some lines, and guess what? They invented it. So check this out, and that happened in Washington 60 years ago. We're talking almost 60 years ago, 1965, and it was a combination of ping pong, badminton, boredom, beer, and you've got yourself a new sport that they accidentally invent. So check this out. Look at this chart. So from 1965 to 1990, there was now somebody playing pickleball on a little court that had been put up in, believe it or not, all 50 states. 1965 to 1990, what is that? 25 years, 65, 75, 85, 90, 25 years it took for someone to be playing pickleball in every U.S. state. Even West Virginia, the state that dental care forgot. So you've got these people playing, and what's really interesting about that is it wouldn't cross 1 million players until like years later, and then that's 1990, and then 25 years after that, 2000, 2010, 2015, we're finally up to 2.5 million players. So check that out. So this is just a little sport, casual, people playing it, and they're finally up to 2.5 million players from 1965 to 2015. You know, what is that? 50 years. So 50 years go by, and it finally is 2.5 million players. Interesting stuff. Take a look at it. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You know the Biz Doc charts on this, and you've seen them a lot. Take a look. There's no COVID break. Isn't it interesting? No break for COVID. So 2019, 2020, 2021, and I suppose it's because you could be outside far from each other. So even people that said you had to wear a mask outside at the beach by yourself with the UV rays of the sun killing the COVID virus that started in the Wuhan lab. There, I said it, Wuhan lab. There was no break for COVID, you know, during 2019-20. But look what happens when we all start going back outside in 2022. It freaking doubles. So it's like an overnight sensation, 60 years in the making, boom, and here we go, 9 million people playing it. And so people have been asking me, I ran into people as I was preparing this case study, this kind of little story here, because I saw some stats that were out there. Dick's Sporting Goods and people now have a full-blown section. There was a while, they said sporting goods stores, you know, you had to order. You could order it, or, you know, in the early days of Amazon, you could go onto Amazon and buy like a little, you know, a pickleball set and, you know, set it up in your driveway, draw out the lines and everything. People did that. You know, it wasn't hard to do, or there was local pickleball courts. So it was really amazing. So, but it took off after COVID, and let's see why it took off. So I'm sitting there saying, why does it suddenly take off? You know, what's going on? Well, number one, we all wanted to get back outside and do something. Number two, golf is expensive. Tennis, it takes a certain amount of skill. It's, you know, tennis, if you can join a tennis club, and not everybody can, you know, you're a level 1, level 2, level 3 player. There's a lot of good and better players out there, and it takes time. And, you know, ping pong, you can play at your friend's house and have a lot of fun with it, and you really don't have to know how to play ping pong. Enter pickleball. You don't really have to, you can learn it very, very quickly. And take a look. Your local Parks and Rec or someplace, look at this. There's a tennis court. In the space for one tennis court, you've got space for 4 pickleball courts. So interestingly enough, local park and rec could take one tennis court out, repaint it for 4 pickleball courts. Isn't that interesting? So it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's not hard to play. You know, it's almost like ping pong and running around a little bit, and it's really kind of fun. So then I was sitting there saying, okay, how many people are looking around for this? We know there's like 9 million people playing now. You go into Dick's Sporting Goods or someplace, there's a little section now for pickleball. And there's your paddles and stuff. And it's also not expensive to get yourself a paddle and 2 paddles and a ball and talk to your friends and say, hey, you want to go play pickleball? And you go down to Parks and Rec or someplace and find a court. Check this out, Wikipedia. So I decided to compare tennis to pickleball on this chart from Wikipedia. Look at this. So right on time, you saw where those 9 million people started playing. Look at that. So pickleball from 15 to 16. So tennis is pretty standard, searching on Wikipedia, the history of tennis, who's won Grand Slam tournaments, all kinds of stuff you find on tennis. Pickleball, you found the rules and the history and stuff. Look what happened 2021 as people started going back outside. I'm going to enjoy some sunshine, time with my friends. I don't have to wear a mask. Screw you, Fauci, no more mask. And I'm going to go outside and I'm going to play pickleball. Look at this. People are searching. Look at all the searches going up. So it's people looking for the rules and origin. Hey, you want to play pickleball? Pickleball. Let me Wikipedia this. Wow, that's interesting. That doesn't seem difficult to play. That seems fun. Okay, Fred, you know what? I'll play pickleball. Do you have a paddle? Yeah, I got a couple extra paddles. Meet me over here. There's a pickleball court over here. We can sign up and reserve it, and for $10 or something, we can go play. All right, great. And you had a good time. I also talked to people, and it was very interesting, that would get like 8 people together, and they would play these little quick tournaments. And yeah, there's probably somebody better than the rest, but it's not like tennis where if you're not that good, you're not that good. People had a lot of fun with this. So I thought that was very interesting. And so then I said, well, that's interesting. Let me look up Google search. So I looked up Google search and I actually found a chart put together by somebody, and it was Google search interest in pickleball. And I'm like, that's exactly the chart I was looking. So somebody had asked the same question and taken the trouble to make a chart. Look at this. So Florida, Arizona, hey, a lot of retired people, maybe with a bad knee, you can play pickleball with a bad knee. Look at that. And then also Minnesota, that's interesting. And Utah. So you look at that, and then you look at, West Virginia, Oklahoma, New Mexico. Mississippi had the lowest pickleball search. So Mississippi, come on, get with the game. This isn't hard. But look at this. Look at the interest. Isn't that interesting? So the rest of the United States, sort of moderate interest, with Florida, Arizona, Utah, and Minnesota, people wanting more information on pickleball. And so there it is. So if you've heard about pickleball craze, you can throw your friends. Say, hey, I was listening to the Biz Doc. This was actually invented in 1965 by 3 bored dads that were trying to play badminton, but they had lost the little shuttlecock, the piece in badminton you hit. So they had a plastic ball and they lowered the net a little bit, and voila, they invented a sport. And, it doubled in size after we came out of COVID. So throw your friends with all that interesting and knowledge. Pickleball is officially now a craze in America. Go try it, run around, get your steps in, get your heart rate up, have some fun with your friends.